Hello, my name is Andreas Herschmann. I am chairman of the board of directors of the Citizens Energy Cooperative in the district of Pfaffenhofen and der Ilm in Bavaria in Germany. Today I will tell you a little bit about our municipal wind turbine, and later, I will also tell you about the municipal wind park that we have developed together with the municipality. Of course, there was a bit of history before we were able to implement this project in Pfaffenhofen. We are standing here today in front of our solar carport. We implemented the project in 2012, the year our Citizen Energy Cooperative was founded. This was preceded in 2008 by the founding of an energy and solar association. In other words, when we found the people who support the idea of a regional decentralized energy supply. Together with these people, we founded the cooperative in 2012, and with this solar carport project we were able to gain our first experience in a relatively uncomplicated and easy to calculate project such as photovoltaic systems. It was then relatively quickly clear that we were able to raise the sum of 700,000 euros in just 1 week and that we could also venture into larger projects. And so we later got involved in the Citizen Wind Farm project. Perhaps one more thing about the community wind farm, the project involves an investment of 5 million euros. 1/3 of it is financed by loans from fellow citizens. These are subordinated loans, which has the great advantage for us that subordinated loans are valued by the banks as equity capital and thus we can pay higher interest on the citizen loans with favorable bank loans. We use this leverage effect, so to speak, to pay the citizen a higher return and to involve as many as possible. The participation of as many members or as many citizens as possible has always been a main concern of ours. That is why the cooperative is structured in such a way that we have a membership fee of only 100 euros to become a member of the cooperative. This means that every pupil or pensioner can afford it. So we really do have all strata of the population in our cooperative, from small children for whom grandpa or grandma would like to invest, to the grandparents themselves. The financing of our first citizens' wind turbine is based on the following principles. On the one hand, of course, the most important, the citizen participation via the subordinated loans that we have issued to our members. This accounts for about 1/3 of the investment sum of around 5 million euros. The rest was financed through the bank. But we also brought the plant manufacturer on board, who has a 9% stake. This was particularly important for our first project in order to ensure that the operation of the plant would function reliably, that the plant would be properly maintained by the plant manufacturer, and that if he himself was on board, he would have intrinsic motivation to ensure that the plant would run well. The goal of a regional energy cooperative is to develop local projects, such as the solar carport or the citizen wind turbine, but of course also to involve local citizens. This means that we actually only have members from the Pfaffenhofen district. Winning them over is of course an advantage, because people know each other here in the region, they trust each other. For us, of course, the high demand that the investment must also fulfill the return expectations puts a special pressure on the matter, but well, we can cope with that. We know it, we can plan it well, and we now have the experience to promise such returns. Another advantage and security for the citizens who invest is that these plants are built on site, which means you can see the plant. In principle, everyone can be happy that, like with the example of the solar carport, 1 or 2 solar panels then belong to you personally. With our first citizen wind turbine in Lustholz, we also tried to involve the citizens so that they could see the construction progress and also see where their money was being spent. We kept a construction diary on the website so that everyone could see the steps. We also offered guided tours during the construction site so that the citizens had the opportunity to get in touch with the project manager, with the workers on site, to ask their questions. Because wind energy in Bavaria is still not as widespread as perhaps in the north of Germany, and it was particularly important to us that the citizens gain confidence in this technology and have the security that their money is well invested there. The simplest and safest investment in renewable energy is, of course, the PV system, as it is easy to calculate the yields that can be expected and the investment costs change only slightly over longer periods of time. That means it is easy to plan in advance. It is different with wind energy. Here you can expect long planning periods. Our latest project has been in the planning phase for 6 years and we are now in the implementation phase. In between, there have been already very big uncertainties. Nevertheless, wind energy is the one that generates the most money. We calculate the yields using 2 independent expert opinions and also make various deductions to ensure that the interest is always paid to our members punctually and on time, even in years when the wind is weak. This means that a small cooperative has to plan very conservatively, but on the other hand, the good news is that we can look forward to more income every year. Taking this wind turbine as a concrete example, we calculated 6.2 million kilowatt-hours per year, and in the best year we had a yield of 7.5 million kilowatt-hours, and all members can be happy about that. The next project I would like to tell you a bit about is our citizens' wind farm in Geroldsbach. Geroldsbach is a municipality that borders Pfaffenhofen. It is also in the district of Pfaffenhofen, and we have been able to implement a super joint project with the Citizens Energy Cooperative and the municipality in Geroldsbach. The nice thing about this is that the municipality has taken a lot of the risk out of the project development, such as the risks involved in project development until you actually get a permit and are allowed to build the turbines. This is not insignificant in the case of wind turbines, because many things in the approval process can mean that they cannot be built. The military has a say, species protection has a say. Nature conservation plays a major role, and the local authorities took away this risk by pre-financing the project development. Then when the project was implemented, the local authorities were able to subscribe to 2/3 of the shares in the company, the cooperative 1/3, and the grid operator also has a small minority share. This is how we implemented the project in Geroldsbach in 2015/16 and involved citizens in the project again for around 5 million euros and implemented it together with the municipality. Of course, the community in Geroldsbach also partakes in the profits of this wind farm, and thus we have actually achieved what we want with citizen participation. We have involved all the citizens in the community. Everyone in the community benefits from the added value of lower fees for the kindergartens or however the community is structured. The participation in the facility via the cooperative was very important to the mayor because it also gave the citizens who wanted to participate directly the possibility of a stronger identification with the wind farm. This means that the creation of value in the community is nice for all citizens, but perhaps less tangible for many, and so the cooperative, with the direct participation of the citizens in the project, offers them the opportunity to identify directly with it. It also gives them the opportunity to see that they are winning and thus to be even more excited about the project, about regional energy transition. As a cooperative, we are of course interested in all forms of energy production, but we have also explicitly stated in our statutes that we would, for example, also finance projects that promote energy efficiency or other storage technologies or similar. We currently have projects in the areas of hydropower, bioenergy, solar, and wind, whereby we see solar and wind energy as the central pillars of the energy transition. While we generate most of our income from solar energy in the summer months, wind energy provides us with peak yields in the winter months. So for example, we already have a very good mix over the year in Pfaffenhofen with the PV systems and our wind turbines. The marketing of the generated electricity is also important to us, and so we have joined forces with many other cooperatives in Bavaria and created our own electricity product from our plants with the Landesverband Bürgerenergiegenossenschaft. This electricity product is called Bavaria Strom, and the special thing about it is that we issue regional certificates for our plants and can thus guarantee our citizens who buy this electricity that the electricity is actually generated locally and can then be consumed again. If you want to take the city of Pfaffenhofen as an example, here the municipality has decided to put this regional electricity out to tender for the electricity quantities that the municipality consumes itself. Of course, everyone can apply for this, but in the end it is the electricity that comes from the cooperatives from the region that has won the tender, and so the city of Pfaffenhofen actually also obtains regional electricity for its own properties. So, it remains for me to wish you good luck and success. There is nothing better than developing such projects on site together with the citizens, and if you ask yourselves how we can get the right people, I can perhaps tell you from my experience. We had also considered the composition of the supervisory board, whether it should be a political one in order to get a majority more quickly or a professional one. We decided on the professional option, and that is a great advantage for us in the cooperative. The supervisory board also does a lot of voluntary work here. We have specialists in tax law, a lawyer, an architect, engineers, controllers, who always help us to evaluate, advance and develop our projects correctly, and that is a great support. Now I wish you much success in finding these people and then being able to implement such projects.